Have you ever had a fantasy that you could save the planet? I have that one all the time. More when I was young, when you were thinking of you were Superman or something, it's like, oh, I'll save the planet. No, it wasn't Trump. It wasn't Trump. Here's my thinking. Now, of course, there's a little bit of hyperbole in this, but let me tell you where I'm going. Let's say climate change is a big problem. The world is going to be destroyed. If somebody could fix climate change, well, at least half of the world would say, you fixed climate change? Well, you just saved the world. So a little bit of hyperbole, but you know what I'm talking about. Now, let's say you didn't believe in climate change being a problem. Obviously, the climate changes, but it could be a problem. Well, even then, you still need nuclear if you want to be a successful country that can feed all of its people and meet all of its obligations and do what a world needs to do. You still need nuclear because we don't have another path that can get us all the way there. And so yesterday, or was it yesterday, the day before, recently, CNN just did a big piece that was unabashedly pro-nuclear. And it was pro-nuclear in a very specific way, which is what caught my attention. It would be one thing to see an article that says that somebody who's always said nuclear is good is still saying it. Hey, get some nuclear. That would have been one thing, and it would not have been impressive. But instead, the way the article was framed, it talked about how nuclear used to be scarier, but the public is not up to date. So check this framing. The framing is that it used to be dangerous, but the public doesn't know how well the industry has evolved and gotten to a point where those same dangers not so dangerous. It also explained that the only people who have ever died from a nuclear energy accident were in Chernobyl, and everything about that is different. They didn't even build it with a containment dome or whatever it is. So if you compare anything to Chernobyl, that's an invalid comparison. But if you look at the other so-called disasters from Fukushima to 3 Mile Island, whatever, nobody died. Nobody, ever. Zero. You have zero deaths. So, but what caught my attention about the article is that it was CNN. It's the type of article you would fully expect to see on Fox News. Conservatives and Republicans are pretty much pro-nuclear and have been forever. But getting CNN's crowd, getting the left, the Democrats, to be on board is a big deal. Now, I think it made a difference that Andrew Yang and Cory Booker were both pro-nuclear. And that's hard you can't ignore that, right? Because once your side is saying it, and here's the catch. Who are the two smartest people among the Democrats? If you're just going to measure pure brain power, the two smartest people running for president, well, might be Yang and Booker, right? I don't know if you know Booker's credentials, but he's a lot smarter than you and I are. That's for sure, academically. So somebody saying Warren, I think you could throw her in the mix. She's obviously very, very smart. But, yeah, they got a smart guy. Somebody saying Buttigieg is really smart. Okay, you got me. You got me. Buttigieg is very smart, too. They have some really smart people there. You can't take that away from them, right? But the way to save the earth was that the people on the left, the CNN crowd, had to move their minds to where the right already was. In both cases, they both needed to be, more educated. But it looks like that's happening right now. Meaning that it looks like CNN, by the fact that they'd even run this article and the nature of it and the specific way it was framed as things used to be bad, but you don't realize that we're going to educate you. Things are actually much safer with modern technology. And I'm going to credit Mark Schneider as being probably the most influential voice on social media. Now, of course, Michael Shellenberger gets he has to get gigantic credit. I'm not going to rank them in terms of who's more effective. So they're doing their different types of persuasion. I would say Shellenberger is a little more emphasis on current Generation 3 stuff, things we can do right now. And while Mark Schneider is a little more emphasis on Generation 4 and what's right around the corner. And, you know, we're not quite there with the design everybody loves, but that's where we need to push to. So they're very productive as a pair. You know, one grounding you with what we can do right now, one taking your mind to, you know, thinking past the sale, if you will, from do you do nuclear to which type. So I feel as if they've moved the dial. Those of you who've been watching this unfold over maybe 2 years, would you agree? Would you agree that, first of all, Mark Schneider and Shellenberger are the two most effective advocates, for sure, and that the two of them are sort of a perfect pair, even if they may have some differences and preferences on the margins, but basically, one's telling you what you can do now, one's telling you where your mind is going to go. Very, very good double punch. And I, of course, have been trying to be as helpful as possible, boosting the signal. Wherever I can, I try to help frame things so that the message has the most power it possibly can. But I feel like some kind of corner recently turned. Have you noticed that when I've been pushing on nuclear, I get very little pushback? You know, and I'm not the expert or anything, but even when I'm promoting nuclear, if you look in the comments, it's very unusual for any topic to get as little pushback as any of us are getting on nuclear. Think about it. Think about how lack of pushback there is when anybody who's pro-nuclear just lays out their case. You don't really see people even with much of a problem. Somebody says it's because I block people. Yes, that one person I block every 2 days is totally changing the situation.